Ladies and gentlemen, if we could have your attention, earlier this evening, Pennsylvania took a historic step on its ongoing efforts to bring greater convenience, greater selection, and competitive pricing to the way in which we make wine and spirits available to the citizens of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It was part of an ongoing effort to allow the citizens of Pennsylvania to be like so many other of their fellow Americans in 48 other states in being able to turn to the private sector to allow for the greater availability and the greater selection that would come from the private sector selling wine and spirits. There are a great many people who are responsible for where we are today and how we arrived here, and certainly many of them are here with us today in this chamber. And what the House of Representatives did and what the Republican members of the House of Representatives did here in Pennsylvania today is nothing short of historic. Certainly, we couldn't have done it as well without the help of some others from outside, groups that were interested in accomplishing the same goals that we worked on here in the House of Representatives today. And among them are Matt Briette from the Commonwealth Foundation and Kevin Shivers from NFIB. They and so many of their colleagues worked so hard in trying to make it clear that Pennsylvania was going to turn the corner and enter the 21st century. And with this vote in the House of Representatives, we have gotten closer to that goal. I was charged by Governor Corbett, and it's a charge that I still hold, to try to work with our friends in both the House of Representatives and in the Senate in order to make sure that we do achieve that goal. And I can tell you this as I stand here today. We would not be here, and we would not have had that significant vote if it wasn't for the chairman of the House Liquor Control Committee, my good friend John Taylor, and I'm going to ask him to step forward and offer some remarks.
On behalf of all my members of the committee and my executive director, Marcia Lampin, I can tell you that it is not easy to change a system that has been 80 years in the making. What is good policy sometimes is not good politics in terms of getting something passed. We wanted to create a policy that could get through committee, get through the House, and despite the fact that there was some light made of the different locations, the different ways to buy beer, spirits, and wine, and all the different configurations, we're proud of that very fact that now Pennsylvanians will be able to buy wine in supermarkets, wine and beer distributors, spirits, beer, and all three in the same spot. That's something that we're not, we're very proud of, and it was something that took a long time coming. So thanks to my members of the committee, my executive director, again, Marcia Lampin, and all of our members, whether they're on the committee or not, who were engaged in this process. Thanks, Governor.
And certainly as well, nothing would take place in the House of Representatives of a positive nature if it wasn't for the strong leadership team that our Republican caucus has, and the leader of that team, and by my estimation, having watched most of the debate today, someone who deserves a gold medal in patience is the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Sam Smith. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. It's a little easy to be patient when you still have the gavel in your hand, seriously, on this subject, it is a major step forward in bringing Pennsylvania into the 21st century. And all of us know what people say to you on the street, and sometimes it's just as simple like, "Why are you in this business? Why didn't you just sell the state stores?" And a lot of the perception that people mean by that, in some cases, is they want to be able to buy beer and wine in supermarkets. And one of the challenges that Chairman Taylor and of course, the governor's people and all the people that have contributed to putting this bill together in the form it is today, is that while those sound simple, given the fact that we have an existing system that is what it is, changing that system to something that the public is asking for, but not disrupting everything else that exists in Pennsylvania in terms of, in particular, like the beer distributor world, because they are already private. That was where the real challenges, in my opinion, rested in terms of moving this issue forward. And I think that what we've sent out of the House today is clearly the foundation pieces for how you can move from a state-controlled system, top to bottom, to a system where we will be, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania will be solely responsible for licensing and enforcement of the liquor laws, and the private sector will be fully in charge of the retail and selling of wine, spirits, and beer in Pennsylvania. So we don't view this as a fait accompli. Obviously, there is a lot of work to be done. I think that, as I said, though, the fact that this puts a foundation underneath a House, not the House of Representatives, but a House of this issue that will allow us to build a newer and better system that will better serve all of Pennsylvania and Pennsylvanians, and we will continue to work towards that goal. Thank you all.
And another great part of that leadership team, the prime sponsor of the bill that passed the House of Representatives, and somebody who has been a passionate advocate for allowing for greater consumer choice and selection and availability, our great Majority Leader in the House of Representatives, Mike Turzai.
We are moving Pennsylvania into the 21st century. This is a significant step. Would not have happened without the leadership of Governor Corbett and Lieutenant Governor Cawley. Thank you, first of all. In addition, you have to have a team that supports you, understands where you want to take positive change. And in this leadership team, from the Speaker and all of my colleagues on the leadership team, they've been supportive, knowledgeable, camaraderie, purposeful, and then to have Chairman Taylor, the Liquor Committee, and all the members just say, like, look, we can do these things. We can get them done. And we'd like to have our colleagues from the other side of the aisle here because we know they understand the objectives too. It shows that when you set your mind to it, you can make the positive difference that the public is expecting. We have more work to do in working with the Senate, but I tell you, I think the product that the Liquor Committee fashioned after the governor put forth his proposal and the work that we've done over the last years, I think I do, as I said on the floor, I think it is an A-plus product, and I think that Pennsylvanians, should it be enacted into law as it is, would be saying, why didn't we do this 40 years ago? Thank you, everybody.
I was just told to keep this next introduction short, so ladies and gentlemen, the Governor of the Commonwealth, Tom Corbett. Thank you. Thank you.
First off, I want to thank many people. Let me make this statement. Today, the House of Representatives clearly made history. Never before has a liquor privatization bill passed either chamber of the legislature. So my thanks to all of them. I also want to thank Lieutenant Governor and Representative Taylor. The two of them worked together, Jim on my behalf, Representative Taylor on behalf of the Liquor Committee in the House, to fashion a bill, taking our basic bill, moving it into one that we get through the House, that we could present to the Senate. And I know we got work there, but we could not have done it without those two. Would you please give them a round of applause with me? And the leadership, and quite honestly, as the Lieutenant Governor said, the patience of the Speaker, patience with me, for always kind of bugging him, pushing, patience today during the debate, and the leadership and patience of the Majority Leader. We would not have got this done without you, so thank you very much. And frankly, I also want to thank not only all the legislative members, but the staff of the governor's office, with Lieutenant Governor leading the way, Chris Caruso and the entire legislative liaison shop working diligently for weeks, particularly this week. The visits, the talks, the conversations that were had during the course of many weeks, but particularly this week. My chief of staff, my general counsel, everybody, the press shop, everybody. This was a team effort. And working with the legislature, it was a team effort. So again, thank you for accomplishing what is clearly a historic feat. It ends a system of a state-run liquor business, which we all know is not a core function of government. We are actually doing away with the vestiges of the failed experiment of prohibition. We are actually telling our citizens that we know you're adults and you should have the ability to choose, and you should have convenience to be able to buy at a free market and not have Harrisburg tell you where and when and how you can buy. Pennsylvanians are now one step closer to having that real consumer convenience and real consumer choice. We're one step closer to getting us out of that business that we weren't supposed to be in or shouldn't have been in the first place. So again, I want to thank all of the members here for taking that step. I know it was not easy. I know that we have more work to do. And I look forward to working with the Senate as we move this bill over to the Senate, talking to them and convincing them that now is the time to move Pennsylvania into the 21st century. So thank you all very much. I will answer a few questions, but we are in the Republican caucus chambers. Thank you for allowing us to come in.
Oh, it's great.
I will leave it up to you two whether you want to also answer questions, but I will keep the questions that I'm going to answer to this bill, and let's keep it relatively short. It's about 9:15, and I think some of us might like to go get an adult beverage somewhere.
Mr. Turzai called this an A-plus bill, and even though it now doesn't specifically target that $1 billion for education, do you feel like this is still an A-plus bill? That was good.
Getting us out of the business is A-plus right then and there, okay? That's not a core function of government. I want to be able to see and get as much money as we possibly can for education, because I believe we need to put it into those programs, into that grant program. But as I've said repeatedly, what we introduce at the front end, what comes out at the end, could be anywhere in between, and it could change drastically, and then if it does, I know it will come back here for consideration. But I think it is a great bill. I think it is one that we can work with, and I would just want to thank the committee and thank the legislature for doing it.
If I might, just on the proceeds, you know, that does require more than one piece of legislation. We had to have a separate bill to get out of the business. In terms of the proceeds, that would be a different piece of legislation, and the governor's input will be part of that discussion. Really, this proposal right now puts all the proceeds in a restricted account, and then we'll have that discussion. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
Recognizing the significance of this accomplishment, Isn't this degree of celebration putting the cart ahead of the horse?
I consider this to be a muted celebration. We're here. I'm thanking them. I came in here beforehand to thank them for the hard work that they did. I have done it in the past with pieces of legislation. I will do it in the future. The celebration will occur, other than having an adult beverage tonight, because they had a long day. The celebration will occur when I sign the bill. Mary,
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
And I think that's what I was making reference to when I made my opening remarks, is that this bill demonstrates a foundation from which you have a structure that you can actually build a private system. I think we recognize that there are, there's some work here to be done yet, certainly given the general view in the Senate. But what is part of this process, the legislative process, is one body or the other has to demonstrate that they can, achieve a real and a piece of legislation that gains the majority of the House in order to move that issue forward. So this bill provides that foundation piece, and that is what makes it an A+ bill, is that it proves that it can be done, that we can gain the support of the majority of the members of the House and create that foundation that meets the goals of the legislation and allows us to move the ball forward. So it's not a celebration of complete. I said that as well. We recognize this isn't complete, but it definitely shows that there's support for the cornerstone, the four cornerstones of a private market.
I look forward to working with the Senate. The bill that we introduced isn't quite the same bill that was voted on today. I can't tell you what, and I couldn't tell you when I introduced our bill what the bill would be voted out. I can't tell you what their bill is going to be voted out. But I look forward to working with them as soon as possible. I think everybody comes back about a week after Easter. So I look forward to getting back on it right then. I'm going to go on this side to see if there's any questions on this side.
No, but our Appropriations Committee today, it was a question of whether the money would go specifically to education. Can you answer that?
I think Mike clearly answered it just before, that there's going to have to be a separate bill. The bill goes to a restricted fund.
Yes.
There will be a bill then, after we get this done, when the whole thing is done, and we know what it is and how much money it is, as to how that would be spent. My purpose, where I believe it should go, is to education.
And is it 800 million, or is there
we need to get the final bill, then we can answer the question.
What do you think some of the challenges will be in getting it through the Senate? Senator Pledge said today he doesn't think there's active interest in privatization. What are some challenges you're anticipating?
Well, I think it's premature to talk about the challenges. I would hope that the people of Pennsylvania, and I'm going to encourage them through you, indicate to the Senate that this is what they want. And I think that they indicated to many members here that getting into the 21st century, getting the state out of a core function, not a non-core function of government and selling liquor, is important to the future of Pennsylvania, and I anticipate that will happen. Sam, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I think that's true.
I think a little of the communications from the Senate was probably an expectation on their part that the House wouldn't be able to muster together a bill and the votes to get a privatization bill out of the House. So that's again why I make this reference to this, this kind of being a foundation piece that proves that you can get some, support for something. So I think they were somewhat positioned in the expectation that we wouldn't be able to, to find that kind of formula that allowed us to move a bill. So the fact that a bill is over in the Senate now that does provide for that, I think, changes the debate a little bit in their perspective.
The other thing I would just make mention of, among
Mike, you want to use the microphone?
Senator Brown really has been one of the, he's the whip in the Senate, has always been very supportive. Other senators have indicated their public support for moving into the 21st century. Even I thought Senator Pileggi's remarks today were very, very open to a positive discussion, and the Speaker has it right. They needed to know that we, in fact, were going to be able to move a bill that made these changes, and today changes the dynamics.
This week, a lot of law enforcement officers and groups came out saying they oppose this plan. As a former prosecutor, what do you intend to do to make sure law enforcement is comfortable with this proposal?
Well, we've seen a lot of law enforcement come out and say they are supportive of the plan. And I will tell you, the measures in the plan, as I saw it, call for strict enforcement. One of the most important things is the loss of license on a second offense for a period of time. That's extremely important in making sure that people aren't selling to minors. We don't have that loss of license if a store employee at an LCB store sells to a minor. That license isn't at risk, and we're selling it to them, and we have an employee, can an employee do it? Could they? Yeah, I'm not going to say anybody did, but could they? The restriction of a potential loss of a license on a second offense for a period of time is, I think, if I'm a store owner, I'm going to be very, very careful to make sure that I'm not letting anybody sell to minors.
For the two leaders in the House last year, you guys were 10, about a dozen votes short on this. What was the difference this time around? What got you over that over the last couple of months?
You guys use the microphone.
I think it was mostly attributed to the hard work of Chairman Taylor in sitting down and talking to, I think you enumerated the different groups, organizations, whatever, that had an interest in this legislation. I would attribute it to the fact that he sat down and talked through, with everybody, and moved the parts around until there was, a significant level of comfort. And I think, John Taylor's the difference between last year and this year, and that he had the time and energy and the people around him, and the committee has committed it well as well. If you look at the makeup of the liquor committee, it's not like it was stacked with pro-privatization people or stacked with members who were opposed to it. It was a good mix. It was a good representative sampling of the House, or certainly of our caucus, and they all worked together to find what parts of the whole bill made it something that was something that we all in this caucus, that 105 members of this caucus, could support. That's the difference.
I might add, having the governor so far out front added capital can't get done if the governor's not out front for something this momentous. The governor took the lead, and when we knew that the capital was there, I think it gave confidence to a lot of the members. The other thing is just from our leadership perspective, we set forth objectives that we thought worked, and some parameters. And I will say this, is we talked to committee members. The one thing I talk to my colleagues as committee members is, look, you're leaders. You believe in making a change. Leaders give input. They move what their objectives are, but they recognize that ultimately you have to have consensus. And each and every time I had the opportunity to speak to our members, we just focused on leadership, getting into the issue and the details, putting your perspective on the table, but recognizing that you had to reach consensus and compromise. And I have to say, it was actually much closer than you indicated, and the fact is, it's really all one continuous effort. John was, the chairman was really significantly involved last session as well. We just didn't find the sweet spot, and I think all the members just really stepped up, and you have to have the governor out front leading, and this governor's leading, I got to tell you. Thank you, Governor.
Last question. What paper are you with?
That paper in Philly.
Oh, okay. You know we're teasing.
No, we're not.
It's a long day.
Not wanting to take away from the historical part of this evening, the bill does go to the Senate now, and Republican leaders there have made no secret that they lean more towards modernization rather than, a sort of a full selling off of the system. How far are you willing to compromise to get a bill out there?
You want me to go to negotiate against myself in the public? Well, that's what you're asking.
Draw the line in the sand and say it's not a privatization.
We're not going to get into answering something like that tonight. I mean, those are discussions that will be had. I mean, whatever we agree on in the Senate, if it's anything different than the House, it's got to come back here. So I'm not going to go into something like that. But I believe that now, going forward, we talk to the Senate and try and convince them that it is time to get us out of the business of selling alcohol. Thank you all.